Shalom Israel. All praise, glory, honor, power, praise, and thanksgiving be to the Most High, the Creator, the one and only, our defense and our protector. Today I wanted to, as promised, speak on Psalm 23, the very popularly used psalm in circles, in the circles of the Christians. But we know that the law was done away with, so the promises and the words, they cannot lay claim to it because it was not even a part of their testament. It was given to Israel for keeping the laws and statutes of the Most High. And so basically from the perspective of the Torah, I had to receive help and wisdom to truly discern what the message was. And starting from, I decided to look at some of the versions. It's actually really interesting. This should be evidence. If this is not evidence that the book has been tampered with, I don't know why the Christians continue to deny it. One of the versions that was supposedly written in 1752 is called DRC 1752. Is actually a it does not locate Psalm 23 in the 23rd chapter. It actually locates it in 22nd chapter. It's just funny how they tampered with these books. Anyhow, looking at the verses in the light of the Torah, let's start from chapter 1, chapter 2, that book from verse 1. A psalm of David, the Lord, the Most High, and I'm going to use the term the Most High rather than the Lord. The Most High is our shepherd. We shall want nothing. And I'm sort of reading with that DRC 1752, but using some of the terminology from the familiar versions. So I'm going to take the words that are essential because we know they just corrupted so many words. The Most High is our shepherd, and we do not want anything. We want is basically lacking. We do not lack because we are not desiring or craving necessarily the things of this world. We are craving and desiring the things that the Most High wants us to have. And when we are walking with Him, we desire His desires, and that is not a lot. It is basically just depending on Him for His word, and He looks after everything else. Just like the real Jesus said that a man shall not live by bread alone, but every word that comes from the mouth of the Most High, which is His laws, statutes, and commands. Even from other books like the book of Joshua, we know that is what our primary need is, and that is what will sustain us, because as we do so, He provides everything else. Verse 2 says, He set us in a place of pasture. He has brought us up on the water of refreshment. And it was interesting because when I read this verse, I was reminded of what happened in the beginning when the Most High created Adam. He placed him in the garden. And the garden was already made by the Most High. He already allowed all that was needed to grow. He made all that was necessary to grow in the garden. So basically, all that the Adam had to do was to tend it. And I thought about that with this verse, that he sets us in the place where he has prepared, and the water of refreshment. There were rivers in the garden, so the things that are needed to sustain, he has prepared ahead of time, and he basically just expects us to lean on his provision and to trust him, not to go beyond where he has his pasture that he has made for us. Verse 3 says, he has converted my soul, or renewed my soul. In other words, he leads us in the paths of justice for his own name's sake. The soul is truly, when it says it's converted our souls, I thought of, how he basically ensured that our souls are not, do not perish and do not go astray. So he keeps us he keeps our souls in the paths of righteousness, which is another word for justice. Basically, righteousness and justice go hand in hand, and that is how our souls are preserved and converted from the path of evil or from the path of destruction. It is walking in the path of righteousness, which is his laws. So he truly does convert our souls to the path that is leading to righteousness. And it says, for his own name's sake. And truly that is what his name is about. His name cannot be associated with evil or injustice, which is what sadly the new covenant people have brought in, because their so-called God that name has been associated with just about everything that is abominable. But the name of the Most High can't be associated with that. For his name's sake, he leads us on those paths, and he converts our souls on the path of righteousness and justice. Verse 4, it says, even though we should walk in the midst of the shadow of death, we will fear no evils, for he is with us. That by itself is truly almost self-explanatory. We know that we are walking through the midst of death and destruction, especially in these seasons and these times. So fear cannot be with us when he is with us, because that is the key, basically, from all that we have said, that we are walking in his laws, statutes, and commands, and he is with us as we do so. So we cannot fear, because fear only comes when we are not in obedience and we are not in line with his laws, statutes, and commands. And then it says that his rod and staff have comforted us. This part, I actually looked up rod in the scriptures, in, of course, the Torah, the rod and the staff. And it was interesting because basically the rod, when Moses used the rod, he used it to carry out the Most High's power, to show the power of the Most High, and to make ways in the wilderness as the children of Israel left the wilderness, or rather as they left Egypt. And the rod of the Most High, it was also spoken of in different places of dealing with transgression, basically the punishments that the Most High was dealing against those who hate him and those who are standing in the way of his people, or the things that are standing in the way of his people. So basically, the rod of the Most High has been his strength and his power and might